Welcome to the high school edition of Football Friday, brought to you in part by Josh Houston and Associates, one source, one company. By the Metro Nashville Police Department. Apply today at MNPD.com. By Southern Trophy House. Visit their showroom at 2705 Nolensville Pike. And by Star Physical Therapy, committed to serve. Now let's head to the gridiron with George Plaster and Billy Derrick, a high school edition of Football Friday. Hello again, everybody, and welcome into Football Friday from Overton High School. Tonight, the Bobcats take on the Hillsboro Burros at 7 o'clock. But before they get started on the field, let's hear the Overton Marching Band. Well done. Okay, we've got ourselves off to a good start. We welcome all of you back into Overton High School. This is Coach Arcentae Broome, who has joined Overton staff as their head football coach. How you doing?
I'm good, George. How you doing?
Been a lot of places in and around the metro area, haven't you?
Yes, sir. I have stops at Maplewood, McGavick High School, Stratford is where I started. So, yeah.
Tell me a little bit of why you wanted to be at Overton.
You know, it's crazy because job came open in 2019, and we were fresh off of a 12-2 season. And Mr. Agby, the guy you've been working with,
yeah,
he was pushing hard. He was pushing hard for that. So, you know, it wasn't really it was really kind of no-brainer when it came open again for the second time. So once that happened, I was just like, you know, hey, opportunities may not always happen like this. And then the rich history of Overton, man, you know, it was one of those things where you see things like, you know, this is an opportunity to kind of revitalize the program.
Okay, let's talk a little of that rich history because it goes back into the 70s and the 80s where this was a state power under Nick Koutras. And yes, I'm a little bit biased. Nick Koutras is related to my family. What happened then that allowed it to happen that is so much harder now?
Man, well, first of all, neighborhood schools. That's the number one thing, man. You know, you always knew if I lived in certain areas, this is the school I went to. And, you know, big names. And Mike Morrison, our baseball coach who grew up here, went to this school, he talks all the time about, you know, people like Keith Davis and Fruit Bell and all those guys, man, that played back in the day. Coach Koutras and Nick, and, you know, Ralph Carnahan. Those are some of the guys that came through here. And I think that was the biggest thing. You know, Nashville becoming a big city has also played a big part in it. And, you know, we even in my area, in my era, the neighborhood school was a big thing. I mean, you could walk. It was a big thing for us to walk to school and on Friday nights and watch Corey Fleming, Joe Campbell, you know, guys like that play high school ball. So it was like when you walked on Friday night, man, one day I'm going to be down there.
This now is still one of the larger stadiums in Metro. You all have come off a tough opener. What has this last week been like trying to get these guys to kind of regroup and I guess also to believe?
You know what, George, it's crazy because we just talked about that yesterday. And I talked about the biggest adjustment that coaches have to worry about is between week 1 and week 2. Preparing for week 1 is just that. There's so many unknowns. So you don't know what's going to happen, who's going to play well, who's not going to play well, what works, what doesn't work. So I think the biggest thing for us was just understanding that we have to be competitors every single play, regardless of what the situation is, being able to compete. We're young, very young. I graduated 28 seniors.
I was going to say you lost more than a football team.
Yeah. So graduating all those guys, man, and bringing in so many young guys. And I even, it's crazy because one of our first meetings, I asked all the guys that were over the age of 16 to raise their hand. 6 people raised their hand. And, of course, that's changed a little bit now. But, we've got, if I've got 80 kids, probably about 50 of them are 16 or younger.
Wow.
And it's just, we're going to take some lumps, growing pains. We just got to get better. And I just told the guys, competing is the number one thing for us right now. Go out and compete. If nothing else, you got to compete. That's the only way you're going to have a chance.
Yeah. Tell me about Hillsborough. They're pretty good.
Yeah. Hillsborough's big. They're good. I know last year they had some guys that were hurt, some guys that, kind of in and out of the lineup, and I think he's got everybody ready to roll. And look, they're fast, they're big, they've got a lot of seniors. I think he has like 30 seniors. So that's a big advantage. So our biggest thing is try to limit our mistakes. Try not to give up too many easy plays. We did that a lot.
Make them earn it.
Yeah, we did that a lot.
18 plays, 80 yards.
Yes, we did that a lot last week against Ryan, man. We gave up a lot of just easy plays, and that kind of football, man, can get you behind the 8 ball real quick.
You had to like the spirit in here. This is the last thing I want to talk about with you.
Mm-hmm.
They had a huge pep rally right as we were about to go on the air. This gym was completely packed.
Yeah, it was.
And it was impressive.
You know what? This is I think this is the first pep rally that I've been to here at the school. I think we had one or two the first year I was here. But this is, man, it was great, man. The energy in here was tremendous, man. The kids got into it, man, and that's what you want to see. That's how you start a school year off, guys, kids buying into it, man, and learning the culture and knowing that, man, this is the type of year you want to have. You want to have fun. So,
listen, thank you for taking the time.
Appreciate you.
It was fun to see you with a group of Overton football players when we did the David Cutcliffe and Watson Brown and Tony Barnhart and Philip Fulmer. Thank you as always.
Thank you, George. Appreciate you.
That's Coach Arcentae Broome from Overton High School. His Bobcats take on Hillsborough tonight here at 7 o'clock. It will be warm, and we will talk about that later. We'll go to our first break. When we come back, you'll hear our Metro Police Department moment that'll be about 6 to 8 minutes. Officers Garren Haskins and Larry Williams will join us.
Actually, just Larry. So,
just Larry?
Yeah, special.
Oh.
Garren's had enough FaceTime. So.
Has he really?
Cameo.
Nice. Okay.
He might make an appearance, though.
Well, Larry will join us after the break. How are you today, Billy?
I'm great, George.
You've done a great job getting us on the air, and I appreciate it.
You got it.
We'll go to the break, and we'll be back.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen printed t-shirts, laser engraved Yelly cups, and knives. Recognize your hardworking team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. Okay, we are back, and we welcome all of you into Football Friday from Overton High School, this beautiful campus. The scary thing is I actually played here years ago. I know that's hard to believe, but I actually did. So it's kind of fun to be here. Officer Larry Williams, who got called into duty today to be a part of all this. How you doing?
George, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing very good despite the heat.
It is a little warm.
It is very warm.
As you all are going to learn tonight at the Titans game.
Yes, we are.
We all are. A week ago when Officer Haskins was on,
Okay.
one of the things we learned is that you all are not only actively recruiting, but you have a recruiting team that's been put together. Let's talk about that.
That is correct. Under the leadership of Chief John Drake, we realized that recruiting is a very important tool in the police department, especially in this day and time. So what he did, he put together a team of recruiters, and what we do, we hit the ground, we roll, we go to the different universities, high schools, and we're out in the community with what? Thanks for asking. With the effort of recruiting law enforcement officers to this department. This city is a very diverse city. Nashville is very diverse. Changes every day, and we want our police department to look like the city we serve.
As I brought up a week ago, I felt like the Covenant thing, which was such a tragedy, was also a wake-up call to this community that, hey, we've got a pretty good police department, because had you all not been as good as you were, as bad as it was, it would have been even worse.
Yes. And what we do, we fall back on our training. This department has put training at the first hand. And a lot of emphasis goes into that. And we have the training. Those officers that the world saw on TV that entered that school, they weren't your SWAT officers. They weren't your special trained units. Those were average police and patrol officers. And what they did, they put that training to use. And that's what we do. So we want everybody to know that this department, we train you, we pay for your training, and you get the best training when you come to this department.
So, as kids are getting into that 14 to probably 22-year-old piece of their life, they're thinking a lot of different things. Not all of them were fortunate like me to know really early, I'm going to be a sportscaster. No doubt about it.
Okay.
And with a lot of them, it kind of volleys back and forth of, here's something I'm interested, here's something I'm interested in. And at some point, law enforcement probably comes into that picture. What do they need to do if that's a thought?
If that's a thought, do it. This city is growing and we're playing catch up. I tell kids, as a former SRO for 16 years, one thing, stay out of trouble. Foremost, stay out of trouble. Mind your parents. Respect your adults and your elders. That's one of the things we want. We want you to have integrity, empathy when you join this department. And we teach you to do the rest. But I just say to those out there that this might not be a thought right now, but if you want to help people, serve your community, this just might be the job for you.
What's the first step? Somebody hears this, somebody sees this, somebody's had this thought, but they have no idea how to start to pull the trigger. What do they do?
Good question. Thank you for asking. Go to our website, www.joinmnpd.com. On there, you'll find myself, Officer Williams, Officer Garren Haskins. Feel free to reach out to us. There's a link to our email on there, as well as phone numbers. Feel free to call us, email us, call the office, and we'll be more than happy to talk to you, walk you through the process, answer any questions that you might have.
Give me 2 or 3 things that are really important for a young person if they're thinking this.
One thing that is really important is to step out. Some people might be scared to do this. You hear all different stories about careers in law enforcement, but just step out. We train everybody to do this job. So I say, if it's something that you thought about, something that you it's in the back of your mind, just give it a try. It's a very rewarding career. And I say www.joinmnpd.com and call us with any questions you might have. Sometimes you just might need that extra voice in your ear.
You got a really good leader in Chief Drake. That I am certain of.
We do.
He's tremendous.
Yes, he is. The community loves him and I love him.
That was said very quickly.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Take this message back to Don Aaron.
Okay, I will.
Okay. Don and I worked together at a radio station newsroom, WSM, when we were both 22, young and thin.
Okay.
I knew then, I didn't know exactly in the police department, police work, but I knew it wasn't going to be radio news for long. You could see he had a burning desire, an absolute passion that I get the feeling all of you have to have if you're going to be good at this.
That is correct. So I will take that message back to Don Aaron. Don's an excellent person, man. And I'm forever in debt to him. That's my guy.
You tell him I said hello.
Will do.
Larry, thank you.
Thank you, George. Thank you for having us.
Officer Hoskins, good to see you as well. You guys get us in and out of Nissan Stadium in one piece tonight.
We'll do the best we can. We promise you.
I believe it.
All right, George. Thanks for having us.
You'll have your hands full.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Stay cool.
That's
that's Officer Larry Williams joining us here at our broadcast site. Each week, we ask George Robinson from the Tennessean to join us and talk a little bit about what we're going to call games of the week, because this is certainly not the only one. And Billy, feel free to jump in. You kind of tell me if and when George is ready.
Looks like George is ready. And George, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Beautiful. So let's start with one. I think you told me you would be at Pearl Cone CPA, correct?
Well, I will be at Brentwood Academy, but Pearl Cone and CPA is our game of the week on in the Tennessean on the Tennessean website. The Pearl Cone and CPA game will be our game of the week. I think that's going to be a huge matchup for both of those schools. Both of them are ranked in our Super 25 poll that we do at the beginning of each week. That includes teams all across the state. They're also ranked. Both schools are ranked in their respective classifications in the Associated Press poll, which came out earlier this week too. Both of those, the Super 25 poll is a poll that we do at the Tennessean. That's our second. This week was our second ranking. The AP poll began this week, so both Pearl Cone and CPA are going to be. Are both ranked in both of those polls. So that's going to be a huge game tonight.
George, there were people caught off guard that Pearl Cone could go to MBA and win. But the more I've talked to people, it's not an upset, is it?
Not really. Not really. I think I think what people are taking into account is how good MBA has been over the past, I don't know, almost a decade now. They've been to 6 state championship games since 2015. And, the past 4 years, they had an incredible quarterback in Marcel Reed. He's now a freshman at Texas A&M. And so I think a lot of people were looking at, that NBA team. It's a little bit of a different team this year. They lost quite a bit from last year. In Pearl, they were in the Class 4A state championship last year. So, it's not that big. It's not that big of an upset when you think about these two teams, coming into this year. I think Pearl Cone has earned the right to be among, to be mentioned among some of the best high school football programs in Tennessee and, obviously in Middle Tennessee.
George, again, thanks for taking the time. I'm going to go next to Brentwood Academy and Brentwood. The Battle of Granny White is what they're calling it, and you will be there tonight. Brentwood Academy coming off a brutal loss last week against CPA. They were up on CPA early. CPA came back, ended up winning that game. Brentwood, obviously no slouch. So what do you think Brentwood Academy will respond after last week?
I think so. They're probably still. I know the coaches and players will tell you that they've moved on, but I'm sure in the back of their mind going into this Brentwood game, they don't want to start 0-2. I don't think they've started 0-2 in over 20 years. This is also a game where you have private versus public, and that doesn't always happen in Nashville. Those two classifications don't really like to play each other. Brentwood and Brentwood Academy, they're only like 2.5 miles apart. And you would think that they would play every year, but this will be the first time I think they played since. It's the first time that they played since 2020, I think. But the rivalry that should exist doesn't really exist because they just don't play a lot. And I think I don't think, aside from the 2020 season, I don't think these two teams have played much at all. I don't know, probably 25, 30 years. So it's just a rare game. I think it's going to be a really well-played game. Brentwood High School has a transfer quarterback in Baylor Hayes, a kid from Florida who's coming in, and he had a good game last week in week 1. I know Brentwood Academy is going to be fired up for this game. Like I said, they don't want to start 0-2. They had a good first half against CPA. I think George McIntyre, their quarterback, had over 140 yards passing in the first half. And then I think he ended up finishing with just 54 yards in the second half. And CPA's defense really did a good job. So I think Brentwood Academy is really going to be, they're going to be motivated to, when this game starts.
All right, let's go next to George, the Bishop's Cup.
Oh yes, this is
Father Ryan, Pope Prep, not not JP2 anymore. Pope Prep is what they're calling it.
Okay.
So obviously a huge matchup every year.
When was the last time you all beat them?
7 years.
Oh my God! Let's get on with it.
It's been 7 years, George,
Yeah.
and they pushed it back to a 7:30 kickoff. So obviously, a lot of schools locally have been doing that. But Father Ryan Pope Prep, can they break the streak?
Well, I think if there's any year that Father Ryan could, I think it's this year. Like you said, the game starts at 7:30. A lot of games, like you said, have been backed up to 7:30. Some have been backed up to 8 o'clock, for this intense heat. So, I'd like to tell everybody who's going out to high school football games tonight to stay hydrated and just be careful out there. It's going to be very, very hot. But I do think Father Ryan breaks the streak this year. JoJo Crump, their quarterback, he had a great game in week 1. I think he's going to have another big game against Pope Prep, as you say. And they have an Indiana commit in Charlie Becker, their wide receiver. They have a lot of talent. They're coming off a 50-3 win over Overton last week. Sorry, Overton. I know you're at Overton. But I think Father Ryan has the pieces in place to kind of finally end this streak and get the Bishop's Cup back to Father Ryan.
Man, that is good to hear. That is good to hear for me and Father Ryan graduate. But last game here.
Did you pay him to say that?
I did not.
Sure. Checks in the mail, right?
Yeah, your check's in the mail, George. Springfield, Clarksville. Historical matchup here. Tell the listeners something they should probably know about this matchup.
Yeah, this will be the first time. Well, these two teams are old rivals. And when I say old rivals, I mean we're talking going back to the
100 years, right?
I want to say 1920, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
This is the 100th regular season meeting between the two schools. They haven't always played every year, but they've played most years. These two teams are just really old rivals. They're also playing for the first time for a new trophy that has been created. I think it's called the Battle of the Bridge. So that is going to be incentive for both Springfield and Clarksville. Springfield dominated Clarksville last year in their game. I think Clarksville is going to be a much better team. I think they'll give them a much better game this week or today. I think Clarksville returns most of their players from last year. Springfield lost quite a bit. So I kind of get the feeling that maybe Clarksville pulls this out. And, we'll see. Like I said, these two old rivals, they know each other very well. Both head coaches are, among the best, head coaches in Middle Tennessee. And they're also good friends as well. So I think, I think fireworks are going to be on display tonight at Clarksville High School.
All right. That's it.
George, thank you as always. Good stuff, and hope people enjoy reading your coverage this weekend in the Tennessean.
Well, I appreciate it, George. A great name, a great first name that you have there. And I was listening to your earlier segment, and I was thinking, man, does George Plaster know everybody in the state of Tennessee?
George, it means one thing. I'm old. What can I say? That's all it means.
Well, I'm a journalist. Anytime I need to find out who's where, I should call you.
You call me. If I don't know it, I'll know somebody who does. All that means is I've gotten old. Hey, thank you, George.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay, we're joined at our broadcast table by Mark North. Mark, of course, is the athletic director for Metro Nashville Public Schools. Thanks for being here 2 weeks in a row. How about that?
Thank you. Thanks for being here at Overton.
Absolutely. So tell me how you feel week 1 went in Metro Nashville, good, bad, ugly.
I thought it went really well. It was smooth. We were competitive. We won some big games. Our kids played hard and played well. had some, Lawson had a big win, last second win in their very first
very dramatic
very first game. And I was telling someone they kicked that field goal, and I said that was a school record for the longest field goal. It was also the school record for the shortest field goal. It was the first field goal, and that was a lot of fun. Had a big win, Pearl Cone over MBA, and East Nashville went out and had a big victory out at Pope Prep, and competitive all across the board.
The thing that I think had to be heartwarming about the James Lawson deal was the crowd. It was somewhere in the 2,500, 3,000 range. It was an overflow of a stadium that seats about 2,000. And a year ago, obviously, at Hillwood, that didn't happen.
Well, and some of it is the newness, and we got to keep that momentum going. Some of it is the community out there is really fired up and excited. And there are some people coming to games, and what high school sports is a quality of life issue in a community. It really is woven into the fabric of the community, and once they get excited, once the community is excited about high school athletics, it benefits everyone, and that is happening out there at Lawson. And we're going to keep that momentum going there and everywhere else around the city.
Mark, tonight heat is an issue, and we're going to get Holly Taylor later from Star Physical Therapy to give us a few of the tips of not only the players, but also us, a bunch of old goats trying to make it through 95, 97 degree weather. Have there been start time changes? And if so, how does a person find out?
Well, as of when I came over here,
let's say 2 o'clock.
Let's say as of 2 o'clock, our home games were still scheduled to start at 7 o'clock. Now that may change when they get out to the field and check what the heat index is.
Is there a rule to that?
There's guidance from the TSSAA, and it is specific, and the officials follow it closely, and they're the ones trainers,
ultimately in charge.
That once they arrive, that is correct. And we have athletic trainers at every game from Vanderbilt Sports Medicine, and they have the proper equipment. We will have, cold water tubs available. We'll have take all of those precautions. We'll have they'll take plenty of water breaks and that sort of thing during the game. And I recommend that the fans do too. Don't come out to the game. Come there, come enjoy the game. But
hydrate early
and often.
Absolutely.
And enjoy the game. Support these kids and these coaches.
Thanks for coming out here.
You bet. Thank
you. Appreciate it as always.
Thank you.
Mark North is the athletic director for Metro Nashville Public Schools. I'm now going to turn the chair. Watch how we do this. Boy, that's a smooth deal in broadcasting, isn't it? And let's get Billy into the picture a little bit. Billy, you know the players to watch tonight, so lay them on me.
Yes, I do, George. Some
was there a delay there?
Yeah, you just sort of jumped on me there. Nice broadcast etiquette.
How else was I supposed to do that?
Well, I don't have the mic in my hand. You might want to sort of
stall
around a little bit.
You want me to talk about the Braves?
No, I would take silence over.
Wow. Oh, wow.
But no, wow. George. A lot of something we haven't talked about a ton is all the talent in the mid-state area. Not just across the state, but the mid-state area is so much talent. I was talking about that with Mark last week before we went on the air at Lawson. But
do you have a theory, or is it just a cycle that's really good right now?
Well, Mark and I talked about it, and I actually asked him. I said, do you think the infiltration of families and have caused that? He said, yeah, probably so. But he just thinks it's kind of natural. I mean, people there's a lot of interest in the sport of football, but George, I think talent just has continued to build in the mid-state area. But yeah, we start, George, with one of the more talented players in the state, Isaiah Groves from East Robertson. He is obviously, it runs in his family, and he's got plenty of older brothers that were talented as well.
Is that Carlos's son?
I honestly don't know, to be sure. I would guess.
Yeah,
I would guess that is
definitely a family deal. Carlos Groves, of course, was a great player at East Robertson who went on to play Southeastern Conference basketball at the University of Tennessee. And Dale Brown certainly knew who he was.
Oh, yeah.
And so did Shaq, for that matter.
But George, he's obviously a huge talent. His older brother, Elijah, is a senior, and he's committed to play at Kentucky. And then his younger brother, Zach, is a sophomore. He has an offer from Tennessee right now. So the Groves family just keeps rolling them in over there. At,
Total family affair.
Oh, yeah. All right, next player, Mason Baker, quarterback from Hendersonville. George, obviously, Hendersonville has been a proud program for a long time. And as you can see, Baker is a big kid. He's a dual threat type of guy, but he's also got a cannon of an arm. And he's being looked at by some group of 5 type schools. And I don't think any D1 schools yet, or Power 5 schools yet, but group of 5 schools looking at him. So he is a guy to watch as well tonight, George. Also, Ty Clark III, running back from Franklin Road Academy.
This won't be the last time you hear his name on this show.
No, it will not. So stay tuned a little bit later. But I mean, he's a guy, George, you look at him, he's an athlete. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, and he does it all for FRA. And I'll save his stat line for maybe the end of the show because he might be mentioned again. But he's been good the past couple years for FRA. Just continuing to dominate on the ground under Coach Geisinger at FRA. So he was phenomenal last week.
Billy, in the game here tonight, Overton is a decided underdog. As Coach Arcentae Broome told us earlier, they basically lost a football team. They had something like 28 graduating seniors, a lot of whom were big on this. So they're young. They're a huge underdog. For them to win tonight, who would have to show up big?
Well, this guy, you led right
Funny
in.
I would ask that, isn't it? Yeah.
Funny you would ask that. Caleb Johnson, wide receiver and quarterback here at Overton. And I was actually at the Father Ryan game last weekend. He's an athlete now, right? They like to play him at quarterback every now and then. They will, they won't really ask him to throw the ball much, but they'll put him at receiver. And I mean, he was beating Father Ryan corners last week. Again, they didn't get a ton of opportunities with him, but this week he'll have his opportunities, right? Hillsboro's a great team, great defense, a lot of talent, well coached. But after last week, he'll be motivated. This entire team will be motivated, George. So I expect a big bounce back tonight. I'm not saying a dominant win, but I think expect Overton to play a lot better tonight than they did last week.
50-3 sort of tends to bring that out.
Just
and I'm
naturally.
Sure,
I mean,
and a coaching staff, I'm sure, reminds them in film study, hey, this is not going to get it done.
No, and Hillsboro knows that as well, right? They know Overton is going to play angry and motivated, so that's another thing to watch. But Caleb Johnson, they'll play him at quarterback, wide receiver, DB, safety. I mean, he might be blitzing off the edge. Who knows? But he is your Overton Bobcat player to watch.
The coaching staff at Hillsboro absolutely knows it. The question is, can they get it through to 14 to 17-year-olds that, hey, don't just pay attention to what you saw on film. It'll be a little different story.
Exactly.
Now, unless you've been in a cave for the last week and a half, you know that it has been hotter than the blazes here. And perhaps the hottest streak of days that we have had this summer, and it hits right up to Football Friday with all of these high school games. So with that in mind, we've asked Holly Taylor, terrific physical therapist, from Star Physical Therapy to join us. We're going to ask her a million questions about trying to deal with the heat. Holly, how are you?
Good, George. How are you?
Good, good. I always hear this thing about, well, you know, if you start now with the hydrating, it's too late. Is that true?
It can be, especially when you're having these high temperatures with the high humidity and dew point. Um, it's so taxing on the body. You can't sweat the way you need to. You can't have that evaporation when you have that high humidity and dew point. So, yeah, in a week like this, it needs to take place every single day, getting in that water, getting in those carbohydrates and the electrolytes.
Is it sort of the same way for the spectator?
Oh, absolutely. Especially if you have a packed stadium, you got to think you're all squished in there, and there's not a lot of air circulating around you. The chance of having somebody even having some sort of heat illness can be pretty high.
The parents obviously are trying to get the kids to hydrate, to know that this is important going in. But oftentimes you'll see this, and it's going to happen tonight. A lot of cramping will go on. Talk to me about what happens when that happens.
Well, and the cramping can be, a cause of a lack of electrolytes from the sweating, especially if you have a kid who's like a heavy sweating kid who is losing a lot of those through sweat. And then it can also be a fatigue factor. Some of these kids at some of these smaller schools are playing both ways. And so those kids really need to really balance their electrolytes before, during, and after the game. Lots of stretching exercises that they can get from their athletic trainer, and good nutrition as well. This isn't the kind of week where you can skip breakfast and lunch and hope that you have got enough gas in the tank to get through.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. So
No.
We've got parents and young student athletes watching this. If a player gets into a position out there tonight where things don't feel right, he's getting lightheaded, you know how it is. They're not going to tell anybody normally. But what is it you worry about tonight?
I think the biggest thing we worry about on a night like tonight is kind of, you're going to have some heat cramping. The biggest thing is watching out for that exertional heat stroke. That's the one that can be the killer. That's where your core body temperature is over 104, and it can be very deadly. It can destroy your organs. But through research, we have found that cold water immersion, if we get them in at about 10, 15 minutes after we recognize those signs and symptoms of exertional heat stroke, 100% survivable. So I think, and I'm so grateful that the TSSAA has added into their heat policy on nights like tonight. You can't have your game if your heat index is over 104 or your wet bulb globe is over 92, if you don't have a healthcare provider, personnel at your field, and a way to do cold water immersion.
Wow. Okay. Cold water immersion. What should parents be looking for? They're sitting there. They know it's uncomfortable. They're watching for signs. What's a sign? What is there that a parent ought to be looking for?
Yeah, I think some of the early stage stuff, they're going to be lethargic. Their recovery rate is going to slow down. They may have nausea, vomiting, headache, profuse sweating, the redness of the skin. When we get into more of really recognizing exertional heat stroke, you're going to have central nervous system dysfunction. Those are the kids that are going to be, maybe even going unconscious. You may see seizures. You may see, where they're just kind of talking out the side of their head. They're just not acting normal. And the gold standard for really knowing where that core body temperature at is with rectal thermometers. We're just kind of not there yet with a lot of high schools and using those. And so through Doug Koss's research at the University of Connecticut, he at least has figured out that once you get them in a cold tub, you think it's exertional heat stroke. For every, I think, 3 minutes that they're in that cold water, you're dropping them about 1 degree, because you want to drop that body temperature from that 104, 105 to about 102 before you transport them to a hospital. So that's kind of our catchphrase: cool first, transport second. So if you've got a timer, 12, 15 minutes in there, they should be down to 102, and then you can transport.
Holly, this is great info. Cannot thank you enough for sharing it. Appreciate your joining us. We'll do it again next Friday.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, George.
Our health moment brought to you by Star Physical Therapy, and our thanks to Holly Taylor, who is a terrific addition to what we're trying to do here on Football Friday. So, Billy, we sort of teased a week ago the whole Player of the Week concept, and the folks at Southern Trophy House have gotten into the middle of that. Let's talk about what went on in week 1.
Yeah, George, a player that we already mentioned today is Ty Clark, running back from FRA, and he had just a massive week performance over. And the slide is taking a little bit longer to get up there than normal. But, George, he had 7 carries, and I'm forgetting the exact yardage mark. I meant to note this.
How about if I told you 131 yards and 3 touchdowns against Kenwood?
There it is. You could have just said that, George. But no, 7 carries, 131.
Pretty good average. That's about 18 and a half, 19.
That's pretty good.
You can win some games doing that.
And 3 touchdowns, too.
Ooh,
so
you think?
Yeah, Ty Clark, congratulations to him and everybody at FRA, his coach. He's got a great head coach in Coach Geisinger. So Ty Clark, the first recipient of our Player of the Week, and we've got a plaque for him.
We're going big time. So this concludes the high school portion of Football Friday. When we come back to get the 3 o'clock hour really underway, we'll have Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update. Then we'll have Tale of the Tape of tonight's Titans New England Patriots game, 7:15 over at Nissan Stadium, and then plaster bets of the weekend. So we've got plenty more coming. A big opportunity to win. By the way, I want to thank the Atlanta Falcons for simply not showing up last night at home against Pittsburgh. Stay tuned. We're back with more from Overton High School.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yelly cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. Okay, we are back here on Football Friday, and we now shift gears and transition to our normal programming already in progress. That means it's time for Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady, and through the folks at USA Mortgage, that absolutely can happen. So give Lori a holler at 615-969-4350. Terry McCormick standing by from his palatial mansion. Terry, what is the story tonight on the quarterback situation? Any clarity as to who plays and how long?
If Jeremy Fowler is to be believed, George, doesn't sound like Will Levis is going to be playing tonight. Interesting that they would hold him out of this preseason game since he was unable to play last week. We now know that the injury he was dealing with apparently was a quad injury. He was able to practice on Wednesday when last we saw the Titans, but apparently they're going to hold him out tonight unless something changes. And that could mean we see a little bit of Ryan Tannehill. I mean, I'd still be a little bit surprised if we do, but that could mean that the starters get a series or two before turning it over to the backups.
Terry, let's speculate here for a minute. Obviously, they would be holding Will Levis out as a precautionary measure, but for him, this is a huge downer to not play in two of the three preseason games. Basically, he becomes the number 3 almost by default.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, the only way that he would avoid that would be if Malik Willis just, had a horrible night under center as the Titans quarterback, and just they completely somehow lost faith in him. Not looking for that to happen, but that would appear to be the only way. It looks like Levis is going to go into this thing as number 3 because he's not been available for 2 of these preseason games now.
Yeah, I think this is a huge problem for Will Levis because he needed all the reps and all the playing time he could get. Terry, let's shift to New England. Mac Jones is in what a lot of people think is one of these do or die kind of years after being saddled with Matt Patricia as an offensive coordinator a year ago, and one of the dumber things Bill Belichick has ever done. Will Mac Jones play tonight?
Sure. Haven't really been hearing a lot either way on that. It's possible that they would run him out there. The thing that I think that New England is concerned about is that their offensive line's been a little bit beat up, and the Titans' defensive line, obviously the strength of the team. I don't know that they would want to risk their starting quarterback if their offensive line is not 100%. So you may be seeing a lot of backups from the Patriots as well. Maybe the Malik Cunningham show, maybe a battle of Maliks tonight.
How about Ezekiel Elliott, who the Patriots signed a couple of weeks ago, the longtime Dallas Cowboy? Don't we see him some tonight?
It's possible. I mean, it's very possible because they want to get him acclimated into the way that they do things and get him, make sure he's ready to go for the regular season. I kind of think Ezekiel Elliott's days as a bell cow back are over. I think he's more of a complimentary player now, but certainly has something left in the tank. And as far as the Patriots go, they may have to rely a little bit more on that running game than they want because the receivers that they have on board there haven't really been any great shakes, and Mac Jones is still kind of a work in progress himself.
Terry, I've sort of given all the hypotheticals. You may have had a few things you wanted to pass on, and if you did, fire away. The floor is yours.
Well, George, there's some guys I'll be surprised if we see tonight. Don't know that we'll see DeAndre Hopkins. Don't know that we'll see Derrick Henry. May not see Chigakonkwo because he did not practice after leaving the scrimmage on Tuesday. It was while flexing his right leg. So wouldn't surprise me to see Chigakonkwo not suit up tonight. So, and it's going to be largely, George, I think, the last opportunity for a lot of these guys to have a chance to make this roster or at least make the practice squad. Generally, when you get to this point in camp and there's one preseason game left, they know pretty much 48, 49 of the 53 spots. It's just a matter of deciding between this guy or that guy for those last 4 or 5 spots. And a lot of that comes down to special teams, as you know, George, a guy who can give you something on special teams, whether it's returning a punt or being a gunner or being a guy who can make a good open field tackle on a kickoff. Those types of things, catch coaches' attention in these games like this.
Terry, last thing for you. Malik Willis did some good things last Saturday in the victory over the Vikings. But as you may have heard Monday, Watson Brown was very critical of him and the fact that the fundamentals, the footwork, just simply not where it has to be. How big a concern is this right now to the Titans?
Has to be a bit of a concern because you want him to throw from a good base. You want him to be able to put the ball where it needs to go. The other thing too is, I've heard some people talking and they're kind of giving the opinion that he missed guys who were open in terms of not missing them with the pass. He did that a couple of times, like with Nick Westbrook-Akina, but just not seeing the open window and letting the ball go rather than, holding the ball, taking off and running, which we saw quite a bit of. But I think in this offense, he's got to be able to see those guys come open and be able to put that ball into the windows where it's needed in order to get the ball down the field with his arm.
Terry, try to stay cool tonight. I'm going to be there, and that's not going to be easy.
Well, George, I'll be in the nice air-conditioned press box. If you're going to be outside in your seat, you need to be the one to stay hydrated.
Yes, you send some food my way.
I will do that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to happen. I'm breathlessly awaiting that moment. Sir, Terry McCormick asked us to send this food to you. Good luck on that one, Terry. Thank you as always.
Have George.
Terry McCormick couldn't tell where he was. It looked like the homestead.
Yeah, that was the old McCormick homestead.
The homestead. Okay. Yep. We'll go to the break, and then when we come back, we'll get to tail of the tape of tonight's game because I got to be honest, what's on there may be different than what I'm thinking now, so stick around. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you. Well, it's the moment all of you have awaited, and that is the dreaded tale of the tape of tonight's sweatshop over at Nissan Stadium between the Patriots and the Tennessee Titans. You know, the last time these two teams played, you talk about drama. It was Tom Brady's last game as a Patriot. There was all kinds of, drama and stories behind the scene. And oh, by the way, the final play of the game was the tip ball interception that if you had the Patriots, suddenly you were in trouble. And if you had the Titans, you were a happy camper.
Mm-hmm. You remember that one well, don't you?
I do remember that well. If you remember, the Titans had made the decision to punt, and they were able to pin New England back to about the 2-yard line. He goes into the end zone to throw, he being Brady. The ball got tipped, picked off, and off the Titans were to Baltimore.
Off to the races.
Yeah, so now you've got a totally different deal. New England is in, whether they're admitting or not, they're in a transition.
Mm-hmm.
And the transition, I thought, went off the rails a year ago when Bill Belichick went to sort of the old guard, Matt Patricia, to be the offensive coordinator, the former Detroit Lion head coach. This is a defensive guy. I don't think he knows the first thing about offensive football. And I think it really hurt Mac Jones in his development. I hear all these people saying, this is a big year for Matt Jones. This is going to ultimately make or break him. I don't know that that's fair. Now, I think Belichick finally wised up and got Bill O'Brien in as offensive coordinator. This is part of the reason I think they play Mac Jones tonight.
You think so?
Yeah, I think they've got to. I think they've got to find out some things about him. Not that it's going to change whether he's the starting quarterback or not on opening day, but what is Mac Jones?
Well, you could argue that the hiring of Matt Patricia ended Mac Jones's career. You could argue that right now.
You could, but I'm hopeful for Mac Jones that that's not the case.
Well, because number one, he wasn't happy all last season, because of the play call. I mean, the play calling was atrocious.
It was a tad bit on the Cro-Magnon side.
But it was awful, George. So I hope for Mac Jones' sake he's able to bounce back and come back from that. But he's got a talent behind him, Bailey Zappi, who
kid from Western Kentucky. We'll see him a lot tonight.
Yeah, he's played well in his chances. So I'm looking forward to seeing both those guys. I think we will see both of them tonight. And for the Titans, that's what they got to prepare for. I think both quarterbacks.
So I'll turn around here. This TV stuff is new for me, and we'll go tail of the tape. Billy, I am so proud to know that I'm going to get right the fact that the Titans are the home team.
Well, congratulations.
You're welcome. So I gave the check mark to the Titans in the running game because they absolutely ran roughshod on Minnesota, and the Vikings played a lot of second and third teamers, and I expect New England to do some of the same. I gave the passing deal to New England simply because I don't trust where the Titans are right now in the throwing game.
No.
You have no DeAndre Hopkins, and that's the right move. Hopkins is proven enough. He doesn't need to be playing in preseason. The question is, who steps up for the Titans in the throwing game? Defense right now is clearly the Titans' strength. It just simply is. And it sort of feels like they're coming back to the level that they were at when they played Cincinnati in the playoff game and lost and sacked Joe Burrow how many times?
9 times.
9 times, Mrs. Bueller. So we give the defensive check mark to the Titans. There is no way I'm giving the check mark in the kicking game to Tennessee. This I think they have, for now, butchered the field goal situation. I think you could see this one in July. Now they've settled for the moment on Michael Badgley, and who knows? Is he an upgrade over what they had? I don't know. My gut feeling is I don't think so.
No.
So how do I take on that screen where it says intangibles and draw a line on Will Levis?
You can't.
Can't do that.
There's not a telestrator.
So a little bit surprised when I put this together last night. And look, I spent hours on this.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
Yeah. I assumed that Levis was going to play. This is a big loss for Will Levis. The fact that he's not getting to play in a second consecutive preseason game is not a good sign at all.
There were a lot of people excited to see him tonight.
Oh, absolutely. And, people are probably looking for an excuse not to go tonight because it's going to be 100 million degrees. That said, Billy, I will be a trooper.
And you're going to be a trooper tomorrow at the Vandy game as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. Big football weekend.
Huge football weekend.
I put in intangibles Bill Belichick because even though he may have screwed up a year ago and stunted the growth of Mac Jones, he still is the greatest football coach we have ever seen.
True. In the NFL, at least.
Yeah. So, do we get a final score?
Not a graphic, George.
Really?
I missed out on that. That's my apologies.
Okay. Since I don't remember what I put on that graphic, I'll make one up for you. Titans 21-20. It comes down to a 2-point conversion at the buzzer.
Boom.
How about that?
How about it?
We'll go to our final break and then plaster bets of the day. You're going to want to see these because Billy thinks they're going to bomb. You know what I think?
So does
Who
Kelly.
cares what Billy thinks? Stay tuned.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general. Baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised, and of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
We are back from Overton High School as part of our Football Friday coverage. We had a great first hour with the Bobcat crew, head coach Arcentae Broome, and the entire staff, and we want to thank them for all the help in getting this put together. This is not an easy show to put together. And then all of a sudden we got the Clemson Tiger behind us, and they don't even play this week.
No, that is the Clemson Tiger,
Sure
Paul.
it is.
I didn't realize that.
Sure it is. So I think I'm right that I have put 4 bets of the day up.
And those are taking a moment to load.
Okay.
But first, George, I will tell you that your bet of the day is brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com as we await the graphic. And there
Look
it is.
Look at that. Wow.
I think I might be missing one.
I think you might be missing one as well.
But
let's go with the 3.
Okay.
First of all, let's start tonight with the Titans. They're a 2.5-point dog. They're going to be inspired by my being there, cheering them on from section 333. Why do I think they'll win? I was pretty impressed last Saturday. I saw some things that I kind of liked. They pushed around a pretty good Minnesota defense. Now, admittedly, some of it was second and third team by the second half. But even before that, I thought they did some good things. And I think they're going to win tonight.
Titans plus 2.5.
Yeah.
Okay. Book it.
Okay. Tomorrow at noon, as you get your football schedule ready, because there's a lot of it out there. You know, it's a light weekend when ESPN goes with New Mexico State and UMass.
Why did they do that instead of putting USC on ESPN?
I don't know.
I will never know. I will never know that answer.
I can't answer that. Anyway, NFL Network at noon. Kansas City Chiefs are a 3.5-point dog at home against Cleveland. This is a gut shot. The Chiefs are your defending world champions. This just in, the Browns are not.
No,
so
they are not.
The question becomes, who really plays? Who really cares? I don't know. But I just decided again, these preseason games are
Nobody
what they
cares.
are. It's a gut shot, okay? You got a promotion that says plaster bet of the day. You got to come with something.
Yeah, you got to come with something. But I'm ready for these real games.
Well, we all are. Okay.
Speaking of a real game.
Then the last one tomorrow night. Vandy is a 17.5-point favorite against Hawaii. It's been a long time since Vandy has been a double-digit favorite against much of anybody. Here's what I think I know. Vandy a year ago went to Hawaii and ran them silly, a lot of it being option football. That's not likely to happen tomorrow night with A.J. Swan at quarterback. This is likely more of a turn, give it to the tailback, and watch the offensive line do their thing. Do I think that will work? Yeah, I do. I don't think Hawaii is prepared for the physicality that Vandy will bring to the table. The worry on the other end involves the weather. If Hawaii's going to throw the football 50 to 60 times tomorrow night, and it does seem like they're going to in this run and shoot offense, here's one of the problems. A pass rush may start out with ferocity. You didn't know I knew that word.
Mm-hmm.
Ferocity. But those down linemen rushing 50 to 60 times in that kind of heat, you better have some depth.
Yeah, and Vandy's got a couple of guys out. They got their best pass rusher out against Hawaii. They have another veteran guy out. So they will have to play some young kids tomorrow night, and they'll have to step up. You know, I mean, say Hawaii's in the game in the second half. That could get dangerous.
Sure it could.
You know, you got some and Timmy Chang's a great head coach. Braden Shager's a good quarterback. They've got a good running back. Now, Hawaii's defense is a whole nother story. I think that's where this game will be won and lost.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt just being better offensively than Hawaii's defense. But I think Hawaii will score. George, I agree. I think Vandy covers, but I think Hawaii will score. So that could get dangerous with the line. Does Hawaii score a late touchdown, garbage time touchdown? Besides that, George, I'll pick Vandy to cover somewhere around 45-17 as well.
If you're looking at what Vegas thinks, which is 17.5 and 56.5, they're looking at something like 37-20.
Yep.
Is the number they're thinking. I think Vandy scores more than that because I don't think Hawaii is worth a hoot on defense.
That's where, that's where it's going to. But George, I could see something like 55-21 or 24, something like that.
Sure.
Because Vandy's defense isn't very good. I mean, let's face it. Last year they were not very good. They've gotten better, but they're still weak on the boundary. So I think that's where Hawaii can take advantage.
Temperature at game time tomorrow night, and same thing
80,
here.
89.
Yeah, same here with the
and then
Titans.
It'll get down to 85.
Yeah. Tonight, they list for the Titans game 90 at kickoff. So about the same tomorrow night, like you said, around 89. It will be warm, and we're done.
We're done.
We are done. Thanks to the folks at Overton High School, Kevin Agby, and the entire staff for their cooperation. Next week, we will be at Nashville Christian out in West Nashville as they play host to my alma mater, Battleground Academy. We'll see you next week. All of you drive safely. If you're headed to football games, be careful. We want you back safe and sound on Monday.